Let's review graphing a line. This equation is called slope-intercept form, and this is what you will use to graph a line. You need to remember that the M stands for the slope, or rise over run. The B value is what we call the y-intercept, or the beginning. Let's do a few examples. To graph this line, you need to first identify two things, your M and your B. The M is 1/3, and your B is -2. We start by first graphing the y-intercept. The B stands for beginning. Since this is a y-intercept, we will go to our y-axis and start at -2. Then we're going to move in this direction of the slope, 1/3. This means rise 1, run to the right 3. So we're going to rise 1, run 3. And I want you to go all the way across your graph and then go backwards. So instead of going rise 1, run to the right 3, we will fall 1, so go down 1 and left 3. Down 1 and to the left 3. Down 1 and to the left 3. Then you will connect this with a solid line. Another example. To graph the second example, we identify our two key things, our slope and our y-intercept. Our slope in this particular problem is -4. We always want to rewrite that as a fraction, so -4/1. And our B, our y-intercept, is 5. Again, this is the y-intercept, so we start on the y-axis at 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then the slope this time is a negative slope, so it should be going down. So we're going to rise -4, which means we go down 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. And then we run +1, so that's to the right 1. Down 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, right 1. Down 1, 2, 3, 4, right 1. And then we can go backwards, up 1, 2, 3, 4, left 1. And then connect this with a solid line. Next, I want to review with you a saying that we taught in Math 1. Some of you may remember the saying, "Vux Hoi." Vux is when you have a vertical, you will draw a vertical line, and this is when you have x is equal to some number. Hoi is when you will have a horizontal line, and you have y is equal to some number. Remember, a horizontal line looks like this, and a vertical line looks like this. Let's do a few examples of Vux Hoi. Since we have x and a number, I have to decide if this is a Vux or a Hoi. Since I have x, we know this is a Vux, so I know I'm going to be drawing a vertical line. So to do this, we go to the x-axis, and we find +4, and we put a dot. From there, we're going to draw a vertical line. And we're done with that one. Our next example, we have a letter and a number. So we have to decide if this is a Vux or a Hoi. This time, since we have y, we know this is a Hoi because this has a y. H stands for horizontal, so we're going to be drawing a horizontal line. This time we want to start at -6 on the y-axis because this says y. So we go to -6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Put your point, and then we're going to be drawing a horizontal line through that point. And we are done. Standard form to slope-intercept form. Let's say we have the example, 2x plus 3y equals -12. This is in standard form as we see it right now, but what we want to do is we want to change this to slope-intercept form. The reason why we want to change it to slope-intercept form, which is y equals mx plus b, is once we have it in slope-intercept form, we will be able to identify the slope and the y-intercept so that we can graph it. The way it is here in standard form, we cannot graph it until we get it in slope-intercept form. So to do this, our first step is to move the x away, and I like to think of it as putting the x on the other side of the equation. If we put the x on the other side of the equation, it's going to become a negative 2x. Since this negative 12 is staying on the same side, it stays negative 12. It did not move from one side to the other. The next step is to divide everybody by 3 so we can get y by itself. When we divide everybody by 3, that leaves us with y equals negative 2 over 3x, and this is going to reduce to negative 4. Now, just like previous problems, we can identify our slope as negative 2 over 3. So this would be down 2, right 3, and my b for beginning, or my y-intercept, is negative 4. When you're graphing systems of inequalities, there are 4 key things that you need to find. The first is to find the slope. The second is to find the y-intercept. The third is to determine if it is solid or dotted or dashed. And the fourth step is to determine if you're shading above or below. Let's review. If it is a greater than or equal to or less than or equal to, that tells me it's solid. This equal to part is going to be what tells me that it's solid. When it does not have the equal to, this is going to be a dotted or a dashed line. When you have the greater than symbol, we're going to shade above. When you have the less than symbol, you shade below. Let's do 2 examples. Our first example, remember, we need to identify first our 4 key things. So our slope, my y-intercept, solid or dotted, above or below. So for the first problem, my slope is 3. Turn it to a fraction, 3 over 1. My y-intercept is negative 1. Because it does not have the line underneath, this is going to be a dotted. Because it is a greater than symbol, it is above. So I'm going to start by first doing this line. I start at the beginning, b, on my y-axis at negative 1. I rise 3, run to the right 1. Rise 3, run to the right 1. Rise 3, run to the right 1. And then go backwards, down 3, left 1, down 3, left 1. I determined that this was a dotted line, so when I graph my line, I need to be dotted. And then from here, I need to shade, and we decided to shade above. Shading above is on this side of my dotted line. Next, I'm going to find 4 key features of my second line. So my slope is 1. Turn it to a fraction, 1 over 1. My b, my starting value, or my y-intercept, is 2. I need to determine if it is solid or dotted. It is a dotted line because it does not have the equal to, and then I need to determine if it's above or below. Since this is less than symbol, we're going to be shading below. So I'm going to start at positive 2. My slope is up 1, right 1. And go all the way across your graph. Then go backwards. We determined it was a dotted line. So again, I need to make it dotted. And this time it is shading below. Below will be underneath the blue line here. Then our final solution area is the place where the 2 shadings overlap, which is going to be this piece here, which goes all the way up to where the 2 lines intersect. So this area here is my solution area. Now in example 2, again, we need to find the 4 key features, but in example 2, we have a vux and a hoy. This first one is going to be a hoy, which means I draw a horizontal line. And we need to find if it's solid or dotted, and above and below. So for the first one, since it does not have the equal to, it is a dotted line. And since it is a greater than symbol, we shade above. So I go to my y-axis and I find -4. Put your point. Since it's a hoy, we draw a horizontal line. Since it is dotted, we are going to draw a dotted horizontal line. Then it tells me to shade above. So to shade above would be up here. For my second line, this is going to be a vox because it is a letter and a number. On top of that, we need to determine if it's solid or dotted. Since it has the line underneath, it is a solid. Then we need to determine if it's above or below. Since it is a less than symbol, we are shading below. On this one, we go to the x-axis and we find 2. Put your point. Then, again, since it was a vox, we're going to be drawing a vertical line. This time we need to draw a solid line since it had the equals to. So a solid vertical line. And this time we will be shading below. Now when it's the x equals a number, it is a little bit difficult to determine which side is below because really you only have left and right. To determine this, you think on the x-axis which numbers are below, and all the negative x values are on this side of my pink-purple line. So this is the side that is below, because these would be all of the negative x value side. Now the place where that they overlap is this area here where we have both pink and red. So this here is our solution area where the two overlap, and you need to take your pencil and shade very, very dark. Remember while you're doing these two activities that you are using a pencil in case you make mistakes, and turn in all of your work to Mrs. Smith by the end of the class period. Thank you.